The Minnesota Vikings have one of the best pass rushing duos in the NFL in Za'Darius Smith as well as Danielle, the real deal Hunter, man. And pretty excited, fired up to have 55 and 99 together. There are going to be a lot of problems for a lot of offensive lines and a lot of quarterbacks around the league. And early on, it was fantastic. It was really good. But as of late, maybe not so much. Now, part of this goes back to the Vikings playing the 3-4, and yes, the Vikings do mix in a lot of four-man fronts, but, I mean, the Vikings have dropped Za'Darius Smith and Danielle Hunter into coverage 56 snaps this season. 56. About 6% of the Vikings defensive snaps they've dropped back. It's just... It is so massively frustrating, and I understand. Given the scheme, you going to rush 5 or are you going to change things? Change things. I don't care. Like, dropping Danielle or Za'Darius into coverage, A, they're not the best at it. B, it's such a waste of resources. Oh, but we're fooling them because we got the zone blitz on and then someone else is coming. Don't care. Don't care. Best on best. Use your best players in the best possible spots. That comes down to coaching, man. Like, it certainly... Am I breaking things? I don't know. So that comes down to coaching. That comes down to scheme. Put your best players in the best spots to succeed, right? Like using Danielle Hunter to drop into coverage is like using a Ferrari to tow a boat. We've used that analogy before. It's so stupid. But so last couple games, after a very fast start, Za'Darius Smith and Danielle Hunter, I mean, they're still getting pressure. They're still getting after the quarterback, but they're not closing. Now, sacks, there is a little bit of puck luck there, but it has precipitously dropped in terms of bringing that heat, bringing that stank right after that ass Jimmy. Za'Darius Smith, after his 3-sack game against the Cardinals Week 8, where he won NFC Defensive Player of the Week, he only has 1 sack in the last 6 games. Danielle Hunter had himself a 2-piece against the Commies, had a sack against the Bills, but only 1 sack in the last 4 games. And it's not a shocker that the Vikings have sort of struggled, right? So they got blown out against the Cowboys. It is what it is. Mac Jones looked like Tom freaking Brady. Mike White got after it, and then also Jared Goff wasn't touched. Did you know the Vikings didn't sack Jared Goff once this season in the 2 games? It's embarrassing, man. And for the rest of the defense, just overall, pressure-wise, I mean, the Vikings were getting after it. And the pass rush is the great equalizer, because if your pass rush improves, all of a sudden your secondary magically gets better because quarterbacks aren't allowed just to sit back there and pick things apart. And then all of a sudden, hey, this scheme works. And this scheme is predicated on getting pressure with 4, except they're not getting pressure with 4. They're not sending some more, and then they're leaving the secondary out there to dry. So magically, if the pass rush improves, watch the secondary improve, then all of a sudden the Vikings are back to being contenders. Because you look at the pressure percentage, sacks, like we said, there is an element of luck to it. Always be closing, ABC, all that stuff. But pressure is what is most important, because you can affect a play without getting a sack, where the quarterback moves off his spot, throws an inaccurate pass, maybe you get a turnover opportunity, all that stuff. So pressures is where it's at. And the Vikings, I mean, weeks 3, well, not week 4, but basically week 3 to week 10, the Vikings were bringing that heat. They're bringing that stank. In 5 out of those 7 games, the Vikings were above 40% pressure rate on dropbacks, which is fantastic, but it's fallen off the last 4 weeks, where the Vikings, by the way, the Vikings from week 6 to week 10, those 4 games, are averaging just shy of 4 sacks a game. And then over the last 4 games, you did have a 3-pack against the Patriots, which is awesome, but you're averaging a sack a game over the last 4 weeks. That's not going to get it done, because, sure, maybe this defense won't be a shutdown defense, but getting a sack is generally going to be a drive killer. Loss of yardage, getting off the field, obviously on 3rd down, it's key. It's massive. So stealing away a possession, getting it back to the offense. The offense can put up points as long as Kevin O'Connell doesn't call a jump pass from the 3 and 1st and goal. Not that I'm still bitter. But the Vikings pass rush, for whatever reason, has tailed off the last 4 weeks. And now, yes, obviously the enemy gets a say, and the Lions do have a great offensive line. The Cowboys were legit. Patriots were sort of patchworking getting after it, and the Jets, yes. But just that you can see that precipitous drop-off where the Vikings were consistently nailing about 40% pressure rate. Then all of a sudden you're in the mid-20s, you're in the low 20s. It's no good. It's no bueno. And 2 of those games, they didn't even put the quarterback on the ground, which is unfortunate. And like we said, talent is not the issue. It's coaching, it's scheme, putting your players in the best spots to succeed. And it's these 3 guys that are going to be key to how the Vikings rest of the season is going to go. Ed Donatel, dialing up some heat, getting creative. Chris Rumpf, the defensive line coach, as well as outside linebackers, pass rush specialist Mike Smith. Now, we've sung the praises of Smitty. They got to put in some work, man. I mean, they've done some really good work in the middle of the season, but it's been kind of bare bones as of late. Now, watching back the Lions tape, I mean, Danielle Hunter had some assignments where it just scratches your head. Like, why is he going this direction? And it's not Danielle. It's not. Well, like, we've seen the talent, but where he's lined up, what his assignment is, it's just redonkulous. It's ridiculous. Now, is Za'Darius' knee bothering him more than he's leading on? Maybe, but who really knows? But it is up to these guys. So otherwise, it's going to be this. Mike Pettin, we after that ass, man. And then, so, like, up front, the Vikings, if they're not going to blitz, if they're not going to do anything like that, they got to start playing games up front. They do have to get after it where, hey, a little bit of TNE stunt. Hey, lining Za'Darius up over the guard. Hey, putting Danielle in spots where he's just going to get after the quarterback. Just stuff like that. Just minor things, because if there's so many ways that if you're not getting home with 4 and then you're just banging your head up against the wall, put these guys in spots where they can succeed. Put something out there that the opposing offensive coordinators and offensive line coaches haven't seen. Do something creative and just get after it, because, like I said, it's not a talent issue. You have Danielle Hunter. You have Za'Darius Smith. You have Patrick Jones second. You have DJ Wanham. Quarterbacks should be on the ground. So this has to improve. I mean, this straight up has to improve the last 4 weeks of the season. Otherwise, the Vikings, I mean, the defense is going to continue to be gashed. And it is a direct correlation, the lack of pass rush on the quarterback tearing up that secondary, 5 straight games of 400-plus yards of offense. Again, the Bills game, I mean, the Bills game went to overtime as a shootout, so the pressure rate doesn't correlate there. But the last 4 games, you see those pressure rates dropping, and you can see it directly resulted in the opposing teams putting up a ton of offense. Because guess what? Sitting back there, picking apart the secondary, drives being extended because you're not getting heat, you're not getting sacks, you're not doing anything, man. So it's frustrating. It really is. But these two are going to be the key, and the coaching staff, these 3 jabronis, they have to get it going with these 2. 3 taking care of these 2, and that's going to affect the rest of the Viking season. But your thoughts are thoughts. Danielle Hunter and Za'Darius Smith are key for the Vikings pass rush for the rest of the year. Let us know your thoughts and our thoughts in the comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. Want to support the work, put a little something in the Venmo. But till next time, Skol, production value.